Okay guys, now the following topic is comparatives and superlatives. This is a really nice topic. It's very easy, but you need to understand how to use the comparatives and superlatives. So comparatives and superlatives are used to compare. That's why they are called comparatives. To compare people, to compare things, to compare animals, places, countries, whatever. Okay, we always compare things. We compare, I don't know, we compare a car with another car, we compare a house with another house, and we compare people all the time, who is taller, who has more beautiful hair, whatever. We're always comparing. So we have two different structures to compare, the comparatives and the superlatives. We are going to start with comparatives. Okay, so when do we use comparatives? We use comparatives when we want to compare two things, only two. Two persons, two trees. I want to compare two schools or a country with another country, but only two. So whenever I want to compare two items, we use comparatives. And there are two different structures for comparatives. One is for short adjectives, and the other one is for long adjectives. But we're going to start with the short adjectives. What is a short adjective? A short adjective is an adjective with one syllable, but there are some that are also one, maximum two syllables. Okay? For example, big, nice, tall. Okay, those are short adjectives. They have only one syllable in pronunciation, okay? In English, we don't count syllables by spelling like in Spanish. We count syllables by pronunciation. So here we have big, only one syllable. Nice, only one syllable. Tall, only one syllable, okay? Based on pronunciation, we count the syllables. Let's use this word that is larger. Okay, comparatives. 4 syllables. Okay? So comparatives, 4 syllables based on pronunciation, right? So here we have 3 examples of short adjectives. Now, let's say that we want to compare, I'm going to compare my house with my sister's house. Okay, I'm comparing 2 houses, only 2, so I use comparative. And I'm going to say that, okay, my sister's house is big, my house is really small, it's an apartment. So I can say subject. My sister's house. Okay, I need to use the verb to be. The verb to be is, right? Because it's one thing. La casa de mi hermana es, right? So we need verb to be in singular, is. And here I have to add the comparative. The comparative is based on the adjective. So the adjective that I'm going to use is big. Now, how do I compare? Here it says my sister's house is big, es grande, that's it. But how do I say que es más grande que la mía? It's very simple. All what I have to do is to add ER at the end of the adjective. And then I need to write then. And the complement, my house. Okay, so in this case, this ER then is the comparative. That structure is already comparing my sister's house with my house. What's the meaning of ER then? Más que. Okay, this ER means más. And then que. So we can translate this like, la casa de mi hermana es más grande que my house. Okay, that's a comparative. So, only by adding ER and then we're already comparing. Let's write an example with one of these verbs. One of these adjectives. Okay, it's bigger than my house. Let's write a comma. Let's make a compound sentence. Comma. But my car is nicer. than hers. Okay, again, here we have a subject, my car is, and we have the comparative. The adjective is nice. Okay, my car is nice. But how do I say that my car is más bonito que el de ella? It's nicer than hers. Okay, so again, we are comparing two things. My car, her car. Two items. Short adjective, big and nice. So we write the comparative adding er at the end. This one already ends in e, so we just add the r, then hers. And we are already comparing. So in Spanish, it will be something like, la casa de mi hermano no es grande que la mía, pero mi carro es más bonito que el de ella. Okay, so we are comparing house and house, car and car, with short adjectives. So we can say that the formula or the structure for comparatives with short adjectives is subject number 1 plus the verb to be. Right, verb to be depending on the subject can be am, is, or are. Right? Then we have the adjective with an er, then plus the complement. No, actually it's not the complement, sorry. It's not the complement. In this case we don't call it a complement, in this case we call it subject number 2. Okay, we have subject 1 here, and then we have subject number 2. So let's check these sentences. Subject 1, my sister's house. Verb to be for that subject is adjective plus er, be, girl. Then. Then subject number 2, my house. Right? Second sentence, subject number 1, my car. Verb to be for my car is adjective with er, nicer than, subject number 2, hers. Right, so we are comparing, and that is the structure that you need to follow always when you are comparing two items with short adjectives. Right? So, now, what happens when we have long adjectives? Let me erase the example. Okay, let me give you some example. Long adjectives. When we have adjectives made of 2 or more syllables. Like, okay, the most common ones. Beautiful, expensive, comfortable. Okay, those are, or these 3 are long adjectives. They have 2 or more syllables in pronunciation, remember. So, beautiful, 3 syllables. Expensive, 3 syllables. Comfortable, 3 syllables too. Okay, so we have 2 or more than 2 syllables. Okay, so they are long adjectives. Again, we keep comparing only 2 items. That's all. So let's compare Costa Rica with I don't know, Guatemala. No, Guatemala is very long. Peru. Okay, so let's compare 2 countries. So we use comparatives, only 2 countries. Costa Rica versus Peru. So we can say that, let's use beautiful. Costa Rica is beautiful. That is a sentence, a regular sentence. Costa Rica is beautiful. How do I compare? How do I say that Costa Rica es más bonita que Perú? This is a very long adjective. So in this case, we don't use er. With long adjectives, we only have to write more. Okay, we write more before the adjective. More beautiful. And again, we write here here we have a comparative with a long adjective. Costa Rica is more beautiful than Peru. So we have a long adjective here, before the adjective more, after the adjective then. We can keep adding details. We write comma, but and again we have more, long adjective expensive, then Peru. Okay, so we have two examples. Costa Rica is more beautiful. Beautiful is very long, so we need to use more than. And we have expensive. Expensive is also a long adjective, so we need to use more expensive than. What is the meaning of this in Spanish? Costa Rica es más bonita que Perú, pero Costa Rica es más cara que Perú. I don't know if this is true, I'm just giving you an example. But you see that when we have long adjectives, we use more than, more than. This looks like move. More. Okay, more than. So in this case, we can say that the structure for comparatives with long adjectives is subject number 1 plus verb to be, depending on the subject. Comparative more plus adjective, simple adjective. Then subject number 2. Okay, so here the comparative is more than and the adjective is simple. Okay, that's all what you need to remember. What is important here? There is an important rule. Well, I'm going to explain it later because I need to explain the superlatives first. Okay, so that's what you need to know with comparatives. Now, we have similar rules with superlatives. Let's see when to use the superlatives. We have comparatives for 2 items. We use superlatives when we want to compare more than 2. When we want to compare more than 2 items, we use the superlatives. So let's say that I want to compare, let's talk about cars. I want to compare. I want to say which car, I'm going to use the superlative here. ¿Cuál es más rápido, right? So I'm going to invent. We have short sentences, short adjectives. We have verbs, adjectives like fast or small. Okay, let's use those 2 examples. Okay, these are 2 short adjectives, only 1 syllable, fast, small. Okay, and I want to compare all the cars. Okay, all car brands. So I have more than 2. Let's say that I'm going to compare Mercedes with a BMW and a Lamborghini. Okay, so I'm comparing 3, right? I'm comparing 3 different cars. So I need to use superlatives. And I'm going to say that Mercedes, I know that is not true, but okay, let's say that Mercedes is el más rápido de todos, de los 3, right? So I'm going to say Mercedes-Benz is the fastest car. Okay, so what's the superlative here? I have the adjective fast, but in this case I use est and that. So Mercedes-Benz is the subject. We have the verb is, and here we have to say el más rápido, el carro más rápido. That will be the superlative. So it's not, I'm not saying que es más rápido que el otro. I'm saying that the Mercedes is the fastest car in the world. So it's fastest, or it's faster than the Lamborghini, is faster than the, which one did I say? The MBW, all those, okay? So I'm comparing Mercedes with many other cars, okay? So es el más rápido, is the fastest. That's how we read el más adjective. El más rápido in this case. Fast is rápido, right? And let me say that, what's the name of this car that is very small? The Mini Cooper. Let's say that the Mini Cooper is the smallest car in the world, which again, I know that is not true. But let's say that Mini Cooper I don't know if there is a smaller car, I don't know that, I'm just using this as an example. Let's say that the Mini Cooper is the smallest car in the world. So how many cars are there in the world? Hundreds, right? Or thousands, I don't know, but there are many, many cars in the world. So I'm comparing more than two items, Mini Cooper and many other cars. So I know that I need to use the superlatives. And what I do is, the Mini Cooper, is the subject number one, is el más adjective, el más pequeño. That's how we read it. El carro más pequeño in the word. So the structure for superlatives is subject plus verb to be that corresponds to the noun, adjective with est, and in this case we have a complement or subject number two, depending on what we are saying. But the important thing here is to know that you need to add the and est. That will be the structure. Okay, so let's check the sentences. Subject, Mercedes-Benz. Verb to be is that. Adjective, fast, with est. Car, that will be the complement or subject number two. Subject, Mini Cooper. Verb to be is that. Adjective, small, with est, smallest. Complement, car, in the word. Okay, so that's the structure that we need to use with superlatives, with short adjectives. Okay, we're comparing many things. One car with many other cars. One Mini Cooper with many other cars. So we're comparing more than two things. Okay, those are the superlatives with short adjectives. Now what happens when we have long adjectives? Okay, it's pretty similar to the comparatives. When we have long adjectives, more than two syllables in pronunciation. Let's use the one that I didn't use in the previous example. Comfortable. Comfortable and what else? Comfortable and beautiful. I already used beautiful. Expensive, already used expensive. Okay, let's keep that one. Let me think about a different adjective. Okay, so let's keep talking about cars. If I want to say that a Toyota is, okay, let's compare. No, Toyota with Range Rover. I'm changing cars, I'm so sorry. Okay, let's talk about Range Rover and many other cars. And we're going to talk about comfortability, right? So we can say that a Range Rover is I'm using here a long adjective, more than 2 items, because I'm comparing the Range Rover, I'm missing an R, Range Rover with any other cars. Okay, how many cars are here in Costa Rica? We have Toyota, we have Hyundai, we have Suzuki, we have many cars. So we're using superlatives. Range Rover is comfortable, is a very long adjective. So what we do to make the comparison with superlatives is to write the most before the adjective. El más car in Costa Rica. El más adjective in Costa Rica. I can't think about another long adjective, comfortable, expensive, beautiful. I don't have more long adjectives. Okay, so let's use again expensive. I don't know, I run out of ideas. Expensive. And let's say which is the most expensive car in Costa Rica. Okay, so again, why do I use superlatives? Because I'm comparing the Lamborghini with many other cars. How many cars are there in the market? Thousands of cars. So I'm comparing more than 2. Lamborghini is, and we have a long adjective. The adjective is long, so I need to use the most. El más caro in the market, right? So again, the structure is subject plus verb to be plus the superlative, which in this case is the most, plus the adjective, simple adjective, we don't have to add anything to the adjective, and the complement. Or subject number 2 or number 3 or whatever, it depends. Okay, so subject Lamborghini. Verb to be is the most, simple adjective, expensive, complement, car in the market. And that's what you need to know about superlatives. So, when you are writing or when you are comparing, what do you need to pay attention to? First, you need to pay attention to how many items you are comparing. If you're comparing 2, you use comparatives. If you are comparing more than 2, you use superlatives. The second thing that you need to pay attention to, the adjective. Is it a long adjective? Is it a short adjective? And depending on the kind of adjective, you decide which structure to use. If it is short, in comparatives, than. If it is long, more than. Superlatives, if it is short, est, then, the est, and if it is long, the most and the adjective. That's all what you need to know. Now, before concluding the video, there are some important rules that you need, spelling rules, that you need to remember with, or you need to use when comparing, when using comparatives and superlatives. With the short adjectives. If we have consonant plus vowel plus consonant, before adding the ER, you need to duplicate the last consonant. For example, I already gave you an example with B. Okay, we have consonant, vowel, consonant. Before adding the ing, you duplicate the last consonant and then you write the ER. The same with superlatives. Before adding est, you duplicate the G. Or fat, the adjective fat. If I want to say that, I don't know, my dog es más gordo que el perro de mi hermana. So I need to add, we have vowel, consonant. We duplicate the last consonant and then add the ER. Or consonant, EST. That happens for all the adjectives that end with consonant, vowel, consonant. Okay? And the last rule is when we have an adjective that ends with, let me erase this, with Y. Like pretty or happy. Okay, when we have an adjective that ends with consonant Y, we need to change that Y. Before adding the ER or the EST, we change that for a regular I, ER. Regular I, ER. Or EST. EST. Okay? So when the adjective ends with consonant Y, we change that Y for a regular I. That's all. We continue with the rest. Prettiest, than, or happier than, right? But you need to change that. So remember, consonant, vowel, consonant, duplicate the last consonant. Consonant Y, change the Y for a regular I. And that's it. So that's all you need to remember or to know about comparatives and superlatives. See you in the next video.